Built to Last: Successful Habits of Visionary Companies by Jim Collins, Jerry Porras. A summary. Visionary companies do not succeed by accident. They thrive because of deliberate strategies, timeless principles, and an unwavering commitment to a core purpose. In Built to Last, Jim Collins and Jerry Porras unveiled the secrets of companies that stand the test of time. Their research compares visionary companies with their less successful counterparts, revealing the differentiating habits and practices that enable these organizations to outperform their competition across decades. From Disney to IBM, visionary companies exhibit a rare ability to blend innovation with stability, balancing the need for change with a steadfast adherence to foundational values. This book is not about creating flash-in-the-pan success, but about building enduring greatness. To do so, you must understand the habits that create longevity, foster resilience, and inspire loyalty. These lessons are not limited to corporations. They apply to individuals, leaders, and teams striving to make their mark while staying true to what matters most. Lesson 1. Preserve core ideals. Every visionary company thrives on an unshakable core ideology that defines its purpose beyond profit, a compass that guides decisions even in the most challenging times. Collins and Porras underscore that these companies do not sacrifice their foundational values for fleeting trends or short-term gains. Johnson & Johnson's response to the Tylenol crisis in 1982 is a prime example of this principle in action. When faced with a potentially devastating product tampering incident, the company prioritized customer safety above all else. Millions of bottles were pulled from shelves at an enormous financial cost. But this decision, deeply rooted in their credo, reinforced their commitment to integrity. Rather than destroying their reputation, it elevated it, cementing Johnson & Johnson as a leader defined by trust and ethical responsibility. This act of staying true to their core ideals not only safeguarded their brand, but also demonstrated that principles outweigh profits when building a lasting legacy. Preserving core ideals is not just a corporate strategy, it is a timeless approach to leadership and success. Simon Sinek's Start with Why echoes this philosophy, illustrating how purpose-driven organizations outperform their peers by inspiring loyalty and belief. Companies like Apple succeed because they operate from a clear sense of purpose, transcending the transactional nature of selling products. Their core ideal of challenging the status quo resonates with customers and employees alike, creating a culture of innovation and shared values. This alignment between purpose and action fosters a deep connection that mere advertising or product features cannot achieve. The lesson is clear. When your decisions consistently reflect your values, you create a foundation of trust that can withstand external pressures and market volatility. The importance of preserving core ideals is evident in history as well. During World War II, Winston Churchill led Britain with an unwavering commitment to defending democracy and freedom, even when the odds were stacked against them. Churchill's steadfast adherence to these ideals unified the nation and inspired resilience. His refusal to compromise on Britain's core principles turned the tide of the war and solidified his place as a leader who valued integrity over expediency. Similarly, your ability to stay true to your values during adversity will define your character and influence your success. Abandoning your principles for short-term gains may seem tempting, but it weakens the foundation upon which true greatness is built. Preserving core ideals does not mean resisting change or innovation. Instead, it requires a delicate balance between maintaining timeless principles and adapting to evolving circumstances. Consider Disney, a company that has continuously innovated while staying true to its core mission of creating magical experiences, from animated classics to theme parks to streaming platforms. Disney's evolution reflects its ability to adapt without losing sight of its core purpose. This balance is what separates visionary companies from those that fade into obscurity. When you remain anchored in your values, you can navigate change without losing your identity, ensuring that your actions resonate with authenticity. The challenge of preserving core ideals lies in the constant pressure to compromise for convenience or profit. In the face of competition, economic downturns, or public scrutiny, it is easy to justify small deviations from your principles. But as Collins and Porras emphasize, these compromises erode the very foundation of success. Integrity is not built in moments of comfort. It is forged in moments of challenge. When you hold firm to your ideals, you signal to the world and to yourself that your mission is worth more than temporary success. This unwavering commitment not only earns respect, but also attracts like-minded individuals who share your vision, amplifying your impact. To preserve core ideals, you must first define them with absolute clarity. Identify the principles that matter most to you and make them the cornerstone of your decisions. These values should guide your actions, shape your culture, and serve as a benchmark against which all choices are measured. Success without integrity is hollow and unsustainable. Build everything you do on a foundation of core principles that can withstand the pressures of time and market forces. When your work is aligned with your values, you not only achieve lasting success, but also create a legacy that inspires others to follow your example. Your ideals are your anchor. Hold fast to them, and you will thrive in a world that constantly seeks to pull you off course. Lesson 2. Embrace the big, hairy, audacious goals. Big, hairy, audacious goals are the catalysts that propel visionary companies and individuals beyond the ordinary into the realm of the extraordinary. Collins and Porras define big, hairy, audacious goals as bold, long-term objectives that seem almost impossible but are so compelling, they ignite ambition and align efforts across an organization. NASA's moon landing is perhaps the most iconic example of this principle. When John F. Kennedy declared in 1961 that America would put a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the decade was out, it seemed like an unattainable dream. The United States lacked the necessary technology, expertise, and infrastructure, but the audacity of the goal galvanized an entire nation. Engineers, scientists, and leaders rallied around this mission, fostering unprecedented levels of collaboration and innovation. By 1969, Apollo 11 succeeded, achieving not only the goal but also inspiring generations to think beyond perceived limits. The moon landing was not merely a triumph of science and engineering, it was a testament to the transformative power of audacious goals. Big, hairy, audacious goals are not exclusive to space exploration. They resonate in the corporate world, in personal endeavors, and in creative fields. Consider the rise of Amazon, driven by Jeff Bezos's vision to create the everything store. Bezos didn't aim to build just another retailer. He envisioned a platform that would revolutionize commerce and technology. This BHAG guided Amazon's expansion into areas that seemed disconnected at first: cloud computing, entertainment, and artificial intelligence, but ultimately converged into a cohesive strategy that made Amazon one of the most valuable companies in the world. The enormity of the vision forced Amazon to innovate continuously, adapt rapidly, and pursue opportunities that lesser goals would have missed. By aiming higher than seemed reasonable, Bezos turned an online bookstore into a global juggernaut. Audacious goals not only inspire action, but also unlock hidden potential by pushing boundaries. Stephen Kotler's The Art of the Impossible explains how big challenges tap into states of peak performance. When faced with goals that are slightly beyond reach, individuals and teams enter a flow state, a heightened level of focus, creativity, and productivity. This psychological phenomenon occurs because the brain becomes hyper-focused on solving complex problems, leveraging skills in ways that smaller, safer objectives cannot elicit. Big, hairy, audacious goals, by their nature, demand this level of engagement. They force you to think bigger, work harder, and overcome fears that might otherwise hold you back. By stepping outside your comfort zone, you discover capacities you didn't know you possessed, which further fuels your growth. The concept of big, hairy, audacious goals also finds parallels in storytelling and cinema. In The Lord of the Rings, Frodo's task of destroying the One Ring is an audacious goal that seems insurmountable at the outset. It requires courage, sacrifice, and the combined efforts of diverse characters working toward a common purpose. The enormity of the task transforms not only Frodo, but also those around him, showcasing how an audacious goal can elevate everyone involved. Similarly, your willingness to embrace a BHAG has a ripple effect, inspiring those around you to rise to the occasion and contribute in ways they never thought possible. However, embracing a BHAG requires more than ambition. It demands discipline, resilience, and an unwavering belief in the mission. Challenges will inevitably arise, and the scale of the goal may feel overwhelming at times. This is where the alignment of vision and purpose becomes crucial. A true BHAG is not a whim or a gimmick. It is a declaration of intent that resonates deeply with your values and aspirations. It provides a guiding star that keeps you focused when the path becomes difficult. Johnson & Johnson's commitment to their credo during the Tylenol crisis reflects a similar alignment. While their immediate goal was to restore public trust, their broader BHAG was to set a gold standard for corporate integrity. This long-term perspective ensured that their actions during the crisis remained consistent with their overarching purpose. You must set goals that simultaneously scare and inspire you. Ordinary targets yield ordinary results. A BHAG compels you to grow, adapt, and achieve milestones you once considered impossible. Start by identifying a goal that aligns with your deepest values and pushes you to the edge of your capabilities. Make it specific, compelling, and rooted in purpose. Then, commit fully, knowing that the pursuit itself will transform you. Let your ambition propel you forward. And remember that the journey toward your BHAG is as transformative as the achievement itself. Success is not guaranteed, but the growth, learning, and impact you gain along the way will make the effort worthwhile. Lesson 3. Cultivate a culture. Visionary companies thrive not because of fleeting leadership or momentary success, but because they build cultures that endure and evolve. Collins and Porras demonstrate that strong cultures provide a foundation of stability and clarity, even during turbulence. Take Nordstrom, for instance. The company's legendary customer service isn't the result of arbitrary rules or isolated efforts. It stems from a culture where employees are empowered to prioritize customer satisfaction at every turn. At Nordstrom, an associate doesn't need permission to issue a refund, replace a product, or take extraordinary measures to ensure a customer's happiness. This freedom reflects trust and alignment within the organization. Employees internalize the company's values because they are communicated clearly, modeled consistently by leadership, and reinforced through daily actions. Over time, this creates a self-sustaining culture where going the extra mile isn't an exception, it's the norm. Building a strong culture is neither accidental nor instantaneous. It requires deliberate action, sustained effort, and unwavering commitment. Compare this to the principle of deliberate practice described by Anders Ericsson in Peak. Mastery in any field doesn't arise from passive repetition, but from intentional focus and continuous improvement. Similarly, A resilient culture emerges from intentional reinforcement of core values. You must articulate your values explicitly and ensure they permeate every level of your organization. This means embedding them in hiring processes, onboarding programs, and ongoing training. It also means holding people accountable when their actions deviate from the values you've established. Without deliberate cultivation, culture risks becoming an ambiguous, neglected idea rather than the guiding force it must be. The power of culture extends beyond the corporate world. Consider the All Blacks, New Zealand's rugby team, renowned not only for their dominance on the field, but also for their unparalleled team culture. In Legacy by James Kerr, the All Blacks' success is attributed to a set of core principles like humility, accountability, and relentless self-improvement. Every player, regardless of rank, is expected to sweep the sheds, literally clean the locker room, after games, symbolizing their commitment to shared effort and respect. This culture is ingrained through rituals, storytelling, and leadership that reinforces the values consistently. Even as players come and go, the All Blacks culture remains steadfast, serving as the foundation for their sustained success. The lesson is clear. Culture isn't tied to individuals, but to shared principles and practices that transcend any one person's involvement. A strong culture acts as a compass, providing direction during uncertainty. When Nordstrom employees face a difficult situation, they don't rely on rigid policies, they rely on their understanding of the company's values. This trust empowers them to make decisions with confidence, even when leadership isn't directly involved. Compare this to organizations with weak or undefined cultures, where ambiguity leads to hesitation, inconsistency, and missed opportunities. In times of crisis, culture becomes even more critical. Johnson & Johnson's response to the Tylenol tampering crisis of 1982 demonstrates this vividly. The company's credo, which emphasized customer safety above all else, guided their decision to pull millions of products off shelves at a tremendous financial cost. That decision, rooted in their culture, not only saved lives but also solidified their reputation for integrity, earning public trust that endures to this day. To cultivate such a culture, you must lead by example. Words alone are insufficient. Your actions must align with the values you espouse. If you preach accountability but avoid responsibility when mistakes occur, your culture will reflect that hypocrisy. Leadership isn't about issuing directives from the top. It's about embodying the principles you want others to follow. Jeff Bezos famously left an empty chair in Amazon's boardroom to represent the customer, reminding every decision-maker of the company's central focus. This symbolic act reinforced Amazon's customer-obsessed culture, shaping behaviors and decisions at every level. Culture is not an abstract concept. It's the sum of daily actions, habits, and decisions that define an organization's character. To build a culture that endures, you must invest in your people, articulate your values with clarity, and create systems that reinforce those values consistently. This requires intentionality. Whether you're running a multinational corporation or a small team, culture will form, either by default or by design. Shape it with purpose, or it will shape you in ways you may not want. Define the principles that matter most to your mission, and ensure they become a living, breathing part of your organization's DNA. When culture aligns with values, it becomes the most powerful tool for uniting, inspiring, and sustaining your team through any challenge. Lesson 4. Innovate within constraints. True innovation thrives not in a vacuum of infinite possibilities, but in the reality of constraints that force clarity, creativity, and focus. Visionary companies don't chase novelty for its own sake. They innovate to uphold their core missions while navigating ever-changing circumstances. Collins and Porras emphasize this disciplined approach, showcasing how 3M adopted a 15% rule, granting employees time to explore personal projects within the structure of the company's broader goals. This policy didn't just foster creativity, it provided a framework for experimentation that aligned innovation with purpose. The Post-it note, born from an employee's exploration of reusable adhesives, serves as a timeless example of how meaningful breakthroughs often arise not despite constraints, but because of them. Constraints are frequently misinterpreted as barriers, yet they act as the greatest catalysts for ingenuity. Clayton Christensen's The Innovator's Dilemma dives deep into this principle, arguing that companies succeed when they embrace the tension between sustaining existing innovations and pursuing disruptive ones. Too much freedom often results in scattered, unfocused efforts, while overly rigid structures can stifle creativity altogether. The balance lies in setting defined parameters that provide direction without suffocating potential. At 3M, personal projects weren't a free-for-all. They had to align with the company's long-term vision. This approach ensured that innovation was not only encouraged, but also effective, producing ideas that delivered real value to customers and reinforced the company's mission. History provides powerful examples of how innovation thrives under pressure. During the height of World War II, British engineer R.J. Mitchell designed the Spitfire fighter aircraft under immense resource and time constraints. The Spitfire wasn't just a technological marvel. It was a lifeline for the Allied forces, designed with laser focus to address the immediate needs of air combat. Mitchell's team worked under relentless pressure, with limited materials and an urgent timeline. Yet, their ingenuity produced an aircraft that played a pivotal role in the Battle of Britain. The Spitfire's success demonstrates how constraints sharpen focus and drive problem-solving, enabling innovations that might never arise in more comfortable conditions. In the modern business world, Tesla's ascent as a leader in electric vehicles exemplifies innovation within constraints. Early in its development, Tesla faced immense financial and technical challenges. Instead of succumbing to these pressures, Elon Musk and his team leveraged their limitations to create breakthroughs in battery technology and modular manufacturing. The Model S was not just a car, it was a testament to what could be achieved when creativity is applied to real-world limitations. By focusing on efficiency and adaptability, Tesla turned constraints into a competitive advantage, transforming the auto industry and accelerating the transition to sustainable energy. Constraints are not always external. They can be self-imposed to foster discipline and clarity. Steve Jobs' leadership at Apple is a masterclass in this approach. Jobs famously demanded simplicity and user-centric design, setting strict boundaries on the number of features and functionality his teams could include in products like the iPhone. These self-imposed constraints forced Apple's engineers and designers to prioritize what truly mattered, resulting in devices that redefined entire industries. Jobs understood that innovation isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right things exceptionally well. Even in creative fields, constraints often serve as a crucible for brilliance. Alfred Hitchcock, one of cinema's greatest directors, frequently used limitations to amplify the impact of his films. In Rear Window, Hitchcock set the entire story within the confines of a single apartment, forcing himself to rely on camera angles, lighting, and the psychological depth of his characters to create suspense. This constraint didn't hinder the film. It heightened its tension and made it a masterpiece of storytelling. Constraints, when embraced, transform challenges into opportunities for heightened creativity and focus. To innovate within constraints, you must adopt a mindset that sees limitations as opportunities rather than obstacles. Constraints force you to strip away the unnecessary and concentrate on what truly matters. Whether it's financial pressures, time restrictions, or resource shortages, these boundaries sharpen your problem-solving abilities and ensure your efforts align with your mission. Like 3M, Tesla, or Hitchcock, you must learn to channel your creativity within the framework of reality. Innovation isn't born from perfection or boundless freedom. It emerges from the determined pursuit of solutions within defined parameters. The greatest breakthroughs don't arise in the absence of boundaries. They happen because of them. Use constraints as a guide to prioritize, focus, and create with purpose. Work within your limits, and you'll discover that true innovation is not only possible but inevitable. Constraints are not the end of creativity, they are its foundation. Embrace them, and you will turn your challenges into your most powerful assets. Lesson 5. Build a clock, not a timepiece. Visionary companies transcend the lifespan of their founders because they prioritize constructing enduring systems over temporary achievements. Jim Collins and Jerry Porras emphasize this concept in their seminal work, Built to Last, where they reveal that such organizations are not tethered to the brilliance of a single leader, but thrive on principles, frameworks, and cultures that perpetuate long-term success. Walt Disney exemplified this visionary approach with Disneyland, which was never just a theme park, but the cornerstone of an entertainment empire designed to outlive its creator. His blueprint extended beyond immediate attraction and toward creating a system that would foster imagination and innovation for generations. This principle aligns with the lessons in the E-Myth revisited by Michael Gerber, which underscores that sustainable businesses must be rooted in replicable systems, not the irreplaceable talents of their founders. Gerber illustrates that businesses often fail when they depend on the heroics or hands-on control of one person. To scale, grow, and endure, you must build processes and structures that operate seamlessly, even in your absence. Consider the historical example of Ford Motor Company under Henry Ford's leadership. Ford revolutionized the automotive industry not merely by creating cars, but by developing the assembly line, a scalable system that redefined manufacturing. While Ford himself was an engineering genius, his lasting legacy was not his individual brilliance, but the systems he introduced, enabling the company to thrive even after his passing. Similarly, Apple under Steve Jobs succeeded not because of Jobs alone, but because he and his team built a culture of innovation that remains embedded in the company's DNA. Jobs' visionary thinking focused on creating structures that enabled Apple to continue innovating long after his departure. His impact extended beyond the product and into the very ethos of how Apple operates. The contrast is stark when you examine organizations or projects that failed to adopt this approach. Consider Nikola Tesla, whose groundbreaking innovations in electrical engineering transformed the modern world, but who left no organizational framework to carry forward his vision. Tesla's genius was undeniable, but without the systems or business acumen to institutionalize his work, his contributions were often eclipsed or exploited by others. This difference underscores the critical importance of building a system, a clock that tells time long after the hands of its original maker stop moving, to create your own lasting impact. Think about what structures, processes, or cultural values you can establish that will persist beyond your direct involvement. Focus on scalability and sustainability in everything you build. It's not enough to solve immediate problems. You must create mechanisms that anticipate and address challenges long after you're gone. Whether you're an entrepreneur, leader, or creative, your true legacy is not in what you achieve today, but in the enduring systems you leave behind. Build with foresight, and you ensure that your vision stands the test of time. Conclusion: Built to Last teaches you that enduring greatness requires more than momentary success. It demands a steadfast commitment to core values, bold aspirations, and relentless innovation. Visionary companies preserve what makes them unique while embracing change, balancing the timeless with the timely. As you reflect on these lessons, consider exploring Good to Great by Jim Collins for deeper insights into what differentiates exceptional companies, or The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek for a broader perspective on long-term thinking. Remember, greatness is not an accident. It is the result of deliberate choices, disciplined execution, and an unwavering belief in your mission. Dare to build something that lasts, and the world will remember your work long after you are gone. The end.